Hi, my name is Kim Tsoukalas, franchise owner of Network in Action Twin Cities. I have a member with me today. His name is Scott Nagel with Keller Williams, and he's a real estate agent. Hi, Scott. How are you today?
Doing well, Kim. How are you doing today?
I'm really good. Thank you for taking time to share with our viewers a little bit about you. I would love you to share, first off, why you love real estate, because it's very apparent that you do.
Sure. 20 years ago, I used to work for Cargill. I was a project manager for Cargill and worked in flour milling. And I just remember coming into the office and doing my thing. And you'd sit in front of your terminal and kind of just type away. And the people I would engage with, part of it was the customer management as well. And you just got a sense that the people you were engaging with on the other side were showing up at 8, showing up at 7, and leaving at 5. And they did a good job. We all did a good job, but there wasn't like a passion for what they were doing.
They're kind of existing in their life.
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. And I was shipping flour and I didn't have a passion for shipping flour. And whether you got pasta on your plate that night, I didn't really care. And so I have came to a point where I just decided I needed to promote myself. And I did so by resigning and going into real estate. And so I have a master's from St. Thomas, and I just said, you know what? I'm gonna use my business savvy, not in the corporate world, but in the real estate world. And that's what I did. So I stepped over into the real estate, started worked for the first 10 years with Coldwell Banker. And then this last 9 years, I've been over at Keller Williams running the Nagel team. And, you know, what I love about it is the people I engage with, whether they're buying or selling, are passionate. You get to work with people when they're like the most celebratory times in their lives, when they're a new couple and they're finding that first home. I get to be a part of that.
Mm.
Or on the other side, when you're kind of older, maybe fragile or uncertain about what's in store for you next, and you're selling that home and maybe moving into an assisted living situation, and you need someone to champion you and you really don't know where to turn. I get to walk alongside of those people as well. And I think just how cool it is that I get to kind of be someone who gets to walk along these people at very pivotal
Yeah.
times in their lives.
And
And for
sometimes
me,
it's extremely happy, and sometimes it's extremely challenging. But to
yeah,
know that you're making an impact in a big part of their life, whether it's
they all
positive or
need your help.
negative, it's
Yeah,
it's just the fact that you're there to serve. And that's the kind of person you are. You have like a major serving heart. I mean,
exactly.
that's who you are. That's
And
totally who you
what a
are.
privilege to be taken into the confidence of other people. And
Mhm.
they hire you. You may be a nice person, but they hire you to solve a problem for them.
Mhm.
And I get to do that. And I think that's why I love it. That's why I love real estate.
Well, you know what? Nice people don't always get the job done. And we were talking a little
Yeah.
bit about this before this video. And obviously, it's nice to work with people you like, but it doesn't do you any good if they don't understand their business and they have the degrees that you do.
Yeah.
You have a master's degree in business. In addition, the average real estate agent doesn't even make 5 years, and you have made 20.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you must have
Yeah.
you've seen a lot of different markets, right? Think about what you've
Well,
seen in 20
when
years.
I started in 2004. And, you know, I'm not a person who's like looking for the quick buck. And
Right.
my business grew gradually. And by year 3, I was making a life for it. My wife wasn't working. We were single income off of my real estate on year 3. And then all of a sudden in 2007, 8,
Oh, here we go. Hmm.
everything imploded, right? And when it imploded, it cleared house. Realtors were dropping left and right. And God is good. And
Yep.
we were
Yep.
able to stay in the business and come through that business. And here we are,
Well, look at
2023.
how much wiser you are. You're able to actually help even solve more problems because you've seen the good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah,
And it's times like that that separate the men from the boys. That's what
yeah,
I always say.
yeah.
And I think a
This
lot
gray
of
hair is a
people,
man here. These are the gray hairs from those times.
every house you sell, there's a gray area that's added. But one thing I think is a biggest mistake I see people make is they hire someone because they're a friend or a family. And I, if anybody can
Yeah,
appreciate wanting to support your friends and family. I totally get that, but this
Yeah,
is the biggest, one of the, if not the biggest investments you'll ever make in your life. And
sure is.
I mean, if I was going to go get surgery, I sure wouldn't want the surgeon that's never done a surgery before, right?
Yep.
Like you would want to go with somebody that you know is seen a lot of different things, can advise, will foresee. And I think one thing that really makes you unique, Scott, is that you actually do a lot of fixer uppers. And I know firsthand having someone like you. So me, I'd walk through the house. Oh, isn't that pretty? I love this bells and whistles and the chandeliers and the pretty decor. But you're the type of guy that can go one step further and say, we better look at this. Like
Yeah.
you've got that eye. And I'll tell you what, not all real estate agents can be that person. And am I correct by sharing that about you? I mean,
Yeah. No, that's true. It's so we have, we buy in homes for our own investment purposes. And then I like to run well-run homes. So I will fix up those homes or hire contractors to fix those homes up. And we've jacked up we've taken homes and had to replace essentially everything but the foundation walls. And we've even jacked up homes that needed additional support. And I've got a project right now in Minnetonka that we gutted everything on the interior, both main floor and basement, all the way out to the block walls. And then we ripped out all the headers throughout and did an entire open concept. We know more about the house. We're not general contractors, but we have pretty in-depth knowledge about
oh yeah.
construction. And so when we walk into a property, I can tell you what it will cost to put an LVL beam, to put a beam in, and kind of what that looks like and what do you want to live through that. And a lot of people, they talk about what are the possibilities. And I honest with you, I'll sell a house to a client who has all these dreams, and 5 years later I'll sell that house again because they're moving and they won't have even changed out the carpet. So, but at least when you're going into it, to be able to talk to someone who's knowledgeable about how that works
Oh
has
yes. And
has value. It can kind of put you at ease that you're going to be able to make this house your own.
yeah,
And really, I can give you an idea on what it might cost to do so. And
right.
speaking to that, we have, one of the things I've done is, because I do remodel homes for my own investments, I've opened contract lines with like window manufacturers. So Sure Brothers, they're not a manufacturer, but they distribute from Marvin and Anderson and Hayward Windows. I've got contract pricing with them. I've got contract pricing with hardwood floor distributors. I've got contract pricing with paint distributor Sherwin-Williams. So what I use those to make it more economical to remodel. But one thing I do when I go through with my clients, if my client is going to do a paint project, if they're going to do it on their own, well, let's talk, and I can get you the paint at wholesale price. So,
You are such a, but that's why five years, most people don't even make it that. That's why you do, because you are a person that thinks out of the box. And you're a person that doesn't just sell houses. You're so much more though. There's real estate agents that don't even own a house, Scott. I talked to them. So you have a lot of experience of seeing what can go wrong. To take someone like me and say, I know this is a really pretty house, but there's some kind of issues here that could be really, really, really expensive, right? You offer a lot of value. Is there any other services you want to share? Because
sure. So well, it's kind of along the DIY. So a lot of my peers right now, they have children who are now buying houses. And so you're talking to these young persons who don't have a tool to their name. And they're kind of talking about all these projects, and they've never, they don't have anything to start with. It's kind of like when you move to college, you empty your bedroom, and that's your possessions, right? So these people who are buying a house, they don't even have a rake, and they have to start all over, and it takes years of accumulating saving your dollars to buy these tools. So what I did is I started a tool shed, and I call it my lending shed. And
that's so cool.
In my lending shed, I've got, my Milwaukee cordless drills. I've got hammer drills. I've got chisels. I've got trailers. I've got ladders. my equipment, I've just said, you know what? It was selling real estate that allowed me to buy my equipment. I'm going to let my clients who help me pay for that equipment use my equipment. So we have a lending shed, and it's kind of fun. I get a call, hey, is the trailer available? Yeah, they can swing by and grab the trailer. They can grab tools.
Seriously, that is so flippin'
Yeah.
cool.
And, you know, most guys are very, you know, I would say a contractor is not going to loan you their hammer, right?
Yep.
You keep your hands off my tools. That's the one
Yeah.
thing, you know, I make my life with that. And I, on the other hand, say, you know what? I get it. Tools are expensive. You can use my tools. You know, so
That's so cool.
that's an example of like maybe a service that we offer. Now,
Yeah.
another service, like for example, I've got because of our contract rates, giving people our contract rates for Sherwin-Williams paint, you know, and the Sherwin-Williams offices all over the metro. So you can go,
Mhm.
you know, you pay me for the paint, but it's, you're gonna get it at a significant savings, sometimes 45% off.
Yeah.
On certain paints, it's as much as 45% off.
And it's
you know.
really good paint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sherwin-Williams makes excellent paint. So, you know, so that's another service that we offer. No, like right now, I've got a client who's, you know, it's an older gentleman and he's trying to stay in his house as long as he can. And we've been talking and, you know, one day he told me he was cold. We were talking about things and problems with his house and he's cold. He can't, his windows are drafty and he's going to be selling his house. And so we just talked it through. And so my handyman goes over there, measures up his windows. Well, right now we're ordering windows to install windows in my seller's house because he's, you know, an older man. He probably won't even sell for a couple years. He hopes to die in the house. We'll sell it with his estate, maybe. You know, who knows?
Right.
And there's no guarantee. We may not even get to sell his house. So his children may have a different realtor, but that's fine. You know, my job is to look after him. And so we're changing out his windows. Today I'm supposed to be calling over and putting an order in for 2 Marvin window units, you know, and that probably it'll be 7 weeks out. We'll be installing and then eventually painting, and that gentleman will be sleeping well in his house, all tucked in. So a service that we offer for our clients. I have a client he's a seller and they had installed a real strange wood. It's not most flooring is 3/4 inch, you know, solid wood. They had planed it down, so it's 1/2 inch solid wood. It's not an engineered hardwood, but it's a solid Brazilian cherry, 1/2 inch or 5/8 inch. And they don't sell it anywhere. It's discontinued. Probably wasn't that a great an idea in the first place. Anyway, the guy's got damaged wood, so he ripped it out, and they've got patches all over, and he doesn't know what to do. So I went out and I called Forest Products, Supply Products, and they're a miller of lumber here in town. And I've got Forest Products now up in for your Maplewood. They're going to mill down for us Brazilian cherry to the spec we need. And my client, where he couldn't find a product, and he was thinking he was going to have to redo about 2,000 square feet of hardwoods on the main floor. Well, now we've sourced Brazilian cherry for about $100 of labor to mill it down. We just have to buy the cherry.
Oh my gosh.
So you can buy, you know, sticks of Brazilian cherry. You can buy that all over, right? So we're going to buy sticks of Brazilian cherry. We'll stain it to match, and we're gonna mill it down, and it's going to cost about $100, less than $100.
Oh
It's
my
$80
God.
actually to mill it down to the spec, 100 square feet of it. But my client, this is an $800,000, $900,000 home. He's going to, for, you know, maybe a couple $100 worth of material, be able to repair his floor that he was contemplating having to relay 2,000 square feet of hardwood floors. So that is a service that we offer.
You're like a consultant.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen very often. You don't find too many people.
Like a caretaker.
Yeah. Well, I like taking care of people.
Oh,
you know,
you do.
That's what I like
He's
doing.
not just saying that, he does. You have a flippin' heart of gold. You do. You really do.
No, I do. I'd be a good nurse.
Yes, you would. I would not.
Maybe next life, when I'm done with real estate, I'll become a nurse.
If I ever in the hospital, you show up to take care of me. So tell us a little bit about, I mean, I think this is really interesting because there is a lot of real estate agents that don't
Yep.
have never owned a house or just bought their first. I'm going to tell you, I've only had two houses and one was a
Okay.
townhome, so it wasn't really even a
Sure.
house. There's
Sure.
so much education I wish I would have known even buying the house. Not that it was a bad investment, but just
Mhm.
stuff you're not aware of what things cost. You have
Right.
no
Right.
clue. Like every time I turn around, it's a few $1,000s every time.
Yeah.
But you have done really well. And I think if someone is, it's, you can obviously help somebody just buy a house, but my goodness, if you want to help people like invest in real estate and things
Yeah.
like that, like you've been through all these different markets. You've seen them come up and come down. You've seen their interest rates go up and go up, down. You've seen people lose their homes, sell their homes. You've seen it all. 20
Yeah.
years is a long run. What
Yeah.
role do you see owning a home? How does it develop your personal wealth?
Oh, well, I mean, just turn on the radio right now and
Mhm.
you'll hear, turn on the radio, turn on the TV, doesn't matter. And you hear people talking about generational wealth. And that's one of the
Yeah,
big things that came out of it's before George Floyd, just saying
yeah.
there's certain populations that have been kept out of the real estate market, right? And I'm not going to get into the politics, but I say, you know what? There's no excuse. I can get a job, just about any job almost any job can get me into a house.
Mhm.
And I may be a little oversimplifying things, but for example, I can find today there are 200. I was just looking the other day. How many houses out there are under $200,000? $200,000 right now in Hennepin County.
Mhm.
There are over 200 properties that are listed under
Today,
100
like
today,
now.
right
Okay.
now, active on the MLS right now. There are
Mhm.
207 houses, or not houses. Some are houses, some are
Yeah,
townhomes, some are
yeah.
condos.
But there's
But
still residents people can live
yep,
in.
yep.
Yeah.
In Hennepin County, there's 207 of them,
Mm.
and and so let's say we're at the top of that price point. The top of that price point is 200,000.
Yeah.
With an FHA loan, you can go as low as 3.5%. So for about $6,000, $7,000,
Right.
I can get into a property. So now there's closing costs, right? Closing
Right.
costs are approximately 3%. So we're going to say it costs a total of 12. And you might say, well, there's no way anyone can get $12,000. Well, you don't need 12 necessarily, because there's housing assistance that is also out there available to people who can
Mhm.
qualify, can get some housing assistance for
Right.
that for that closing cost. So now you do need some money, but can you scrounge together $6,000? Well, you know what? If you've got a job, my daughter is working two jobs right now. She's
Mhm.
cleaning houses and selling CBD product. She just saved up 3,000, she just told me. She's working a lot, but she just saved up three. She's halfway there. So if you can
The
get
first
it,
thing I thought, Scott, was you could, if you made $500 part time for 12 months, that's $6,000.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So you could nanny, you could babysit,
You can do yard work.
you could do yard work.
I'm paying someone to
There's,
do my yard right
anyways,
now.
point taken.
Yeah.
There's right now, we have people out there right now saying we need employees. Get a
Oh,
part-time job.
everywhere.
Get $6,000. With $6,000, when you buy a property, now that $200,000 property, historically, houses appreciate over the long term 4% a year.
Yep.
That's the historical number. Last year, if you were to look January to January 2022 to 23, they appreciated 7%. Now, you may remember the Federal Reserve is messing with us, pushing down the values of houses. So everyone says, oh, they're not, housing isn't a great investment, maybe. Well, you know what? If it cost me 6,000, let's say it's 12 if I had to pay the full closing costs. That house that was $200,000, if it grows at 4%, that's 200. Next year, that'll be worth 208. At the end of 3 years, that house that you bought for $200,000, at the end of 3 years, growing at 4% would be worth $225,000. Now that property, you just bought it 3 years earlier, 6% down payment, 6,000 or 3% down payment, $6,000, and $6,000 of closing costs. So $12,000 got you into the property. 3 years later, growing at the slow pace of 4%, it's worth $225,000. You just on a $12,000 investment returned $25,000. That's leverage. And that's what they talk about is if you're locked out of the housing market, you don't have the opportunity to leverage money in a way that society says is good. And we in our society fosters that investment. That is increasing wealth. And that's what I love about real estate. It's a great vehicle. And more people in the United States make their fortune buying real estate than just about any other investment.
I think too, like, you know, if you're buying that to live in,
Yep.
add on top of that what money you're putting in for rent. And rent
Yep.
isn't getting cheaper either.
Yep.
So
why make someone else rich? You're
Yeah.
making some other landlord rich. Pay
rich
them
dad,
on a
poor
monthly
dad.
basis. You've got to pay someone. You might as well pay yourself.
Well, and you've really done well in your life. And I know real estate has made a major impact in your life. And
Yeah.
and it's apparent you're passionate about it, you're good at it, and you're so much more than a real estate agent. If
Thank you.
anybody out there watching this is wanting to even learn on how to invest in real estate or buy their first house, second house, sell their house, whatever it may be, I highly encourage for you to take the time not to just hire the first person you talk to or your friend just
Yeah.
because they're in real estate, because you owe it to yourself with one of the biggest investments you'll ever make to make sure you are really well represented. At least give Scott a call. Scott, what's the best way for people to reach you?
You know what? If you want to get a hold of me, my cell it's always on 952-484-2126. And to your point, Kim, when you're talking about like using your friend, you know what? Would you write a check? You know, you've saved up this money for your house. So you've got money in your pocket. Would you even think about writing a check just to your friend and giving him money like $3,000? You wouldn't. You'd say, that's crazy.
Right.
Yet you hire someone who's has no experience negotiating. You're buying a $300,000 house. The swing on a $300,000 house because you don't know how to negotiate in today's market might be $25,000.
Oh, it's
So my suggestion would be hire me to hire a experienced realtor who knows how to negotiate. Let them make you $25,000, then turn around and write a check to your friend for the 2 and 3.
I love it.
Don't hire your friend to buy the house because he's going to make some money. You're going to lose money because you just spent more $25,000 over the price you needed to. Let me save you the money, write the check to them, and it's a win-win for your friend benefits, you benefit, and you're off and running.
And you're willing to come in and help for a fee, do the negotiating and consult too.
Yeah.
It's a tough situation.
We partnered in the real estate world. Like when you have a new realtor, it's not uncommon to have a realtor pony up or saddle up against someone who's experienced, and they walk through the transaction together.
Right.
And they split the commission, and that's part of being a realtor is giving back. And so I look at it and say, I would like to have the whole transaction, but you know what? I'm also kind of giving back to the business. I'm teaching someone else what I've learned over
and I'm sure people did that for you. So
exactly.
Well, I want to thank you for being a valued member of NIA. I can't recommend Scott enough. Like he is the real deal. He's got a heart of gold, and he offers so much more than just selling a house. Like literally, he's a very, very smart business person, and he knows how to invest. And I talk to real estate agents a lot. I think you have some of the most unique, creative ways to differentiate yourself. And you're just, really a really fun, wonderful, likable person with a good heart and very high integrity. So give Scott a call, and thank you so much for being a valued member, Scott.
So Kim, did this make it under the 3-minute mark? Just kidding.